I think that yesterday was a classic example of a team becoming a Mourinho team. Taking out the flair of Christian Eriksen, who's obviously departed. It was just very functional. But he has done well. Tanganga, I'm impressed with. I think he looks a good player. He got something out of Aurier by playing him further forward. So,
you say that, but I think Mourinho, sort of Matic, a guy in front of the back four who just defends. But Lo Celso and Winks, those are people who play, right?
Yeah.
Dombele, he didn't have a defensive midfielder in this game, right? Your buddy Eric Dyer was nowhere to be seen.
I just think that we're in this different stage of Mourinho's career now, where in the early stage he produced teams with blistering power, would destroy teams with pace, power, strength, everything. Now he seems to be a guy that, forgive me for saying this, but he's like a well-paid, well-resourced David Moyes. He plays with negativity, a lack of ambition. And
so how is it negative if you're playing two guys in front? Look, I'm not suggesting to you that it didn't. That City wiped the floor with them. Okay, I think that we all agree on that, right? But if you make a conscious decision to play Winks and Lo Celso, you are making a conscious decision to play two midfielders in front who can pass. So presumably you're thinking, I'm not having these guys as extra cover. I get the part about the speedy forwards and whatever and playing on the counter, but you had two guys who can pass. So presumably you're trying to at least retain the ball or do something. Otherwise, you'd play two hackers in front of the back four, wouldn't you?
But they're not very dynamic passes, are they? They're kind of sideways passes. They're not.
Lo Celso a bit less.
He's
than
dissing
Winks.
your boy Lo Celso, man.
Lo Celso plays more forward than Winks does. But Winks worked really hard in the game yesterday, and I still think that the game plan was very much stay deep, stay in your own half, and then hit them on the counter-attack when you get the ball back. In the first half, they could hardly do that. They had a couple of opportunities where they could have put a good counter-attack in, and even that they didn't do well. And then, if Zinchenko is not sent off, and I know he's sent off, and I know that's City's mistake, and then Spurs capitalised on that, but the whole game for me turns on not so much the penalty even, but on that red card.
They were clinging on. They were just surviving until the red card.
The start of the second half, they just under the head is under the water.
Yeah.
The first 10 minutes of that second half.
We kind of jumped over this, but everybody agrees that it was a penalty, right? The
Aurier
on
Sterling.
Aguero, on Sterling.
On Aguero.
And then Sterling. Anybody want to argue that?
I think that was a penalty as well. I think there was contact. We never saw a clear shot of it, but I did think that there was a contact there.
I said this is a situation that I struggle with because obviously I am familiar with the laws of the game, but I heard people on television saying, "Oh no, but it can't be a penalty because look, he tries to Lloris tries to pull his arms back." I'm like, I don't care what he tries to do. He still obviously catches him. I have more of an issue with the fact that Sterling gets the ball so quickly. Sterling doesn't control the ball. The ball's going straight out.
Yeah, he pushes it.
And
yeah.
Within the laws of the game, I don't think it should matter if the ball is clearly beyond his reach. But then maybe it should matter because it's not as if Lloris doesn't touch him, Sterling doesn't get to the ball. No. Right? We're in agreement there.
Yeah.
Because his touch was heavy. I mean, maybe I'm not dissing Sterling, but
of course it's heavy. Right? The ball is out already when the foul is made. If there's a foul.
So only Mark, who hates Spurs, would have given a penalty there.
Look, I mean, I'm looking at this. In the modern game, I think that's a penalty because any slight contact is a penalty. In old school
football,
that's
not true. You can't say that. It's not true.
No, I think contact has become like basketball now. It's just every little slight touch is a foul. In the old school game, which I'm more familiar with having played in the old days, I think that it was
with
not a penalty.
Scholes.
Yes, of course.
Long time ago. I think that that wasn't penalty then, but it is now, so the game's changed.
All right.
But Mourinho's reaction to that pen not being given, sitting down after sarcastically applauding the referee and VAR, and then Joe Sacramento, his assistant, saying but Sterling is on a yellow already, and Mourinho storming off again off the chair and going what about the second yellow?
Yeah, but that's par for the course.
Yeah, of course it is. But that was funny.
That winds up as well when people say, foreign players, foreign coaches waving the card. We all know what British players and other players do. They whisper in the ear of the referee, "Go on, ref, that's a booking." How is that different from waving your finger or waving your hand to a player saying to the referee in his ear, "That's a booking"? Sure, the referee. It's just a bit less obvious, but they always try and get opposition players booked.
Right. Everybody does it.
Argue with his anti-English stance once again. All right,
but good goal from Bergwijn on his debut as well.
Yeah, but
he did well.
He did well. Did he do well outside the goal? or did he
Yeah,
just
I
kind of
thought he
stand
started
around?
well. Yeah.
I thought what was interesting is that he moved in the centre at the start of the second half. So he played on the left for the whole first half, and we saw against Kyle Walker where he
Tenacious.
Yeah, he was tenacious, but didn't really do much, and you could see that a few times because the press box at the stadium was on his side in the first half, so we could see him really clearly catching his breath. I think the pace of the game was too much for him, but he took that goal super well. And once he moved in the middle as well, so maybe for someone who's played as a second striker this season already with PSV, not as a lone striker like he did in the start of the second half, but as a second striker, maybe Mourinho sees him having a role as a centre forward with Lucas on one side and Son on the other.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.